Mizzou, the pros, and everything in between. Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. And Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. And, boy, the Chiefs looked pretty good. Did it mean that they won the game? Not last night. No. Lots of things went wrong, at least, which we will dive into. But, Brendan, it's a time to just pack it in. 2-3. Man, Chiefs are done. Is that our sentiment today?
See, you say that and sound very sarcastic. I say that, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I told you there are some things to be concerned about. I did think they were more fixed after the Ravens game than they apparently are. But losing that game in a game you led by a lot, and then Jags score 21 unanswered, I have some real concerns. There is one, what's the phrase? There's a bright spot to all of this, though. There's a saving grace for the Chiefs that I want to get into as we break this thing down.
Okay, so we will get into that here in a few minutes. We'll also, since the NFL week is done, head into the good, bad, and ugly from NFL Week 5. You can text us yours with a call or text at 875-KTGR. At 5:05, we'll have that. We'll have a chat with the injury expert, Will Carroll, about Xavier Worthy, another injury to maybe think about for going forward, and some others across the NFL to pay attention to. And Eli Drinkwitz with an update on one of his injured offensive linemen, Caden Green, today. So we'll dive into that and what that could mean coming up here very soon. 875-5847 if you want to call or text us. You can tweet us too at KTGR Big Show and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Well, ultimately, the Chiefs did not get the job done as they went to Jacksonville, had a 14-0 lead, but then lost it, tried to get the game-winning touchdown within the last 2 minutes. They did score to go up 4, but then could not hold Jacksonville on their final drive. Trevor Lawrence, despite stumbling on the play, got a rushing score to put the Jaguars ahead for good as they win 31-28 and drop the Chiefs to 2-3 on the season. First time since 2021 that the Chiefs have started a season with said record, and now trying to get back to 500 with their next game. They host a hot team, the Detroit Lions, at Arrowhead Stadium this Sunday night just after 7:15. It's the Sunday Night Football broadcast that weekend. So we'll look to see how the Chiefs try and bounce back from it. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 7th day of October, 2025. Give us a call or text here at 875-KTGR. Why is it doom and gloom, Brendan? Why? That's what I want to know. That things are just crashing down for the Chiefs. Why?
They're 2-3. That's the record is really the primary reason to be concerned.
Yeah.
I think the Jags are a really solid team. I don't know how good they are, but I do think they're a playoff caliber team. Right now, the Jaguars and the Colts actually are both sitting at 4-1. So maybe for all the times that we joke about the AFC South and how bad of a division that has been over the years, maybe not as much this year. We're talking about a couple of teams that certainly are tracking toward making the playoffs out of the AFC South, neither of which are the Texans, which are another team that, we expect to generally be pretty solid. So that's an interesting turn of events. I guess the saving grace for the Chiefs, the only reason I wouldn't say completely, although I did tweet it, I said the dynasty is dead, but that was in reference to one specific play. You mentioned the Lawrence touchdown. We'll talk more about that play and why that was so pathetic by one Chief in particular. But I think the division is actually the saving grace of the Chiefs because the Chargers lose to the Commanders over the weekend, and that was a game they were playing at home. They didn't look great in that game. The Broncos obviously came away with probably the most impressive win of the NFL weekend by beating the Eagles on the road. But I think the Broncos have, plenty of space to trip up, and they've done it already in some games. Like, I just don't think the division, the AFC West, is as much of a gauntlet as, I don't know, maybe we thought it would be, where we thought, the Broncos are improved, the Chargers are improved, somebody's going to come up and take it. If the Chiefs stumble. The Chiefs are stumbling, but a game back right now of the Chargers, it doesn't really feel like they're out of it. I am sort of looking ahead to that Lions matchup and having some concern there. I haven't seen the point spread for it, but I would assume the Lions would be favored, even at Arrowhead, with the way things are going.
They're not.
So,
the Chiefs are actually 1.5, 2-point favorites at the moment.
I love that for me. I love that for me. Yeah, it's the Lions are going to win this game. And then you're talking about being 2-4, which, is that's 2-3, whatever. 2-4, you're starting to go down a path a little bit. I do think it gets better from there. The schedule does lighten up. You get Rashee Rice back, which I think can help the offense. But I don't know, Andy, it wasn't the offense last night that I thought was really the issue for the Chiefs. The defense kind of let you down.
But that's probably the most encouraging thing about this whole thing. Because what was the question going into the season? Is the Chiefs offense going to look okay? It's looked great. I think it's looked great so far. It was 7.5 yards per play. That is great. That's more than what you need. That's why I'm just saying, like, come on, we're jumping the gun here. First of all, Chiefs started 3-4 4 years ago, and we're just fine. They made the AFC Championship game. Did they win the Super Bowl? No, they didn't. But again, we're holding them to the standard of, you've started 2-3. It must mean that your season's done. No, that means the Chiefs still make the AFC Championship game, and we're jumping the gun once again. So let's not do that again. Let's not. Even while they're looking very good, if you ask me. Did they have a bunch of mistakes last night? Absolutely. They had special teams mistakes that just don't crop up a whole lot for this team. All of a sudden, they had 3 kickoff plays in a row where they're returning it, and the holding penalty sets them back inside the 20. Like, I get it. You can't have those, and that was uncharacteristic of this Chiefs team, but that's also kind of the point. Is that when they have that type of offensive production, when they outgain their opponent to the degree that they did and have those types of numbers, well, they're almost unstoppable. Like, to the point where it shouldn't be that type of final score. And so I don't get discouraged by that. I have had more favorable answers to the questions I had about the Chiefs 5 weeks in than I maybe expected to, even though they're 2-3. Like, if they played bad in any of their games, any of them, pick one.
As a team, I don't think they played badly last night, but there were some very bad moments. And one of the guys making one of those bad moments that comes back to cost you is, the guy that could do no wrong, Patrick Mahomes. That was a terrible throw.
No, he can't make that
back
throw.
For 99 yards and a touchdown. Now, kind of surprising they couldn't. Mahomes, you never want to be the guy trying to make a tackle, but Mahomes kind of tried to roll the guy and hope he could trip him up. And Mahomes ultimately was probably the best chance at actually making that play. I wonder if in retrospect, again, you probably don't want your all-world quarterback being the one to make the tackle.
And one time he did it, he ran into his own wide receiver and he lost him for the year. So,
although there was no wide receiver near him in that spot, but it is valid to bring that up.
Yeah.
I was thinking, damn, they're not even, to the 20-yard line if he can trip up that guy in that spot. But yes, I think the long-term health of Mahomes is honestly even more important than a 99-yard touchdown in a game that you ultimately lose by a small margin, less than one possession. But like, that was a throw. I don't know what he saw. And like, I joke, well, he can do no wrong. That was wrong. I don't know. That was terrible. If it's any other quarterback, we are harping on that moment going, what the hell is he looking at?
But did you watch the rest of the game of Patrick Mahomes?
He had a great game outside of that play. That play was very costly.
No, I get that. But if Devin Lloyd doesn't make an absolutely great play by returning it 99 yards, are we talking as much about that? Like, if it doesn't turn into instant points.
Instant touchdown.
Yeah, like, on the most unlikely instant point play that you can think of, a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. Like, let's give more credit to Devin Lloyd for that than anything else. Like, it was an excellent play.
Wouldn't you? Mahomes can't make a mistake.
No, I'm not saying that Mahomes didn't make a mistake. He can't make that throw, but it probably doesn't result in points 80% of the time. So, you still mostly will have a chance to stop the other team on defense after those types of plays. And even then, the Chiefs still won the turnover margin. So, like, I am not discouraged by what I saw yesterday. Yes, clean up some things, but you know what? I trust an Andy Reid coach team to do that. Call me crazy, but I do.
I'm not going to call you crazy. I think you're being very forgiving, which is understandable because there is a track record here. But I just continue to go back to this, and I'll harp on this. For all the talk that we hear from the Chiefs, whether it's been Mahomes, I kind of have harped on the Kelsey stuff at times. Chris Jones had a comment after yesterday's game about, needing to give more of an effort or whatever he said on that play that allowed Trevor Lawrence to fall down, get up. It was like he's being chased by Michael Myers in the horror movie, where it's like if somebody touches him in the backfield, he's down. The whole situation is ruined. And he's like scrambling to get up. He falls. He like trips over himself. He gets back up and then is able to kind of snake his way and get into the end zone. You watch Chris Jones on that play. Who's he's talking about? It was him. Yeah, he's the one that of all the 11 guys on the field gave the least effort. He was 11th out of 11 on that play. And then he's talking about, we got to do this after the game. Okay, I get it. Like the Chiefs, there's a big margin for error. We've seen this over the years where they could have a sloppy regular season. Last year it was, we're winning every game by a field goal, and it's like divine intervention at the end to win the game. And Mahomes was like, I would love it if we weren't doing this every week this year, but we're winning. It'll be fine. It'll be what it is. And they got to the Super Bowl. He was largely right. You had the year where they lost a lot of games early, and it's like, they're not going to get to home field. They're not going to get this, that, and the other. They're not going to get the bye. And it's like, it'll be fine because they're that good when they get into the postseason, the playoffs, they execute, and everything's great. But, like, there are definitely a lot of things going on right now that lead you to go, got a big margin for error. We've seen it before, but just how many is it just laziness? They're going to lock in. Everybody, including Chris Jones, is going to lock in. He's allowed to completely give up on the play of the game last night, and we just don't care. And then because he's going to be fine when the time comes, or do those things ultimately catch up with the Chiefs? I'm not making a statement. I think I'm asking a fair question, though.
No, I understand that when we see them do things that we're not used to seeing them doing, and we wonder if it's going to continue. And when it comes to Chris Jones in particular, there's no excuse for
that was terrible.
What happened there. Even if you can try to think up of a scenario where in the very first moment of the play, if Chris Jones is more focused on just getting past his offensive lineman, he doesn't necessarily see why Lawrence was on the ground. Like once he gets back up,
pretty clear at that
and
point,
starts to run again.
Yes.
Okay, then getting it kicked back into gear. It's okay if you want to be trepidatious about him being on the ground because you don't want to hit him late if he actually was tackled. But once you see him running again, okay, that's your invitation to go try and get him.
He was like, no, you got to. He's gonna have it. Right. Oh no, I'm so far away at this point.
No,
I'm just gonna. Crap! He scored.
So. and whatever. And Emmanuel Acho, I saw his breakdown of it, but he was essentially killing Chris Jones for the effort, but also wondering okay, you're playing a whole lot of snaps. I know you got some personal stuff going on, but come on, this
I'm not
needs to be happen.
Yeah.
As far as snaps or whatever it is, you still have to lock in when you're
that's
30
literally the
seconds
game.
Left, and
the other team's on the goal line. They can score a touchdown to win the game.
They don't have timeouts left. If you tackle him, then they've got to scramble, and you don't know what their next plan is going to be. So it's
the whole game. There's no inviting outside what's going on in his personal life into that. I'm sorry. Respectfully, that's not a thing.
But
it's not a conversation. But
even then, other than that, it's still a bunch of things that lead up to it, like the special teams mistakes. Harrison Butker kicking. Harrison Butker, buddy.
He didn't miss a kick, but
you can't do that in that scenario when you just you didn't put your team up, but your team just went up late in the game, and you're going to spot them 40 yards, essentially 15 yards more than what you would have wanted them to start at because you're kicking it out of bounds. Come on, highest paid kicker in NFL history. Let's be better, man. Come on.
The finesse of the new kickoff has definitely been interesting to see, the way it can cause some wrinkles at times. And you would never under normal circumstances be worried about that, but the kickers have to operate completely differently. You can't just use your power at this point.
Yeah.
You can, but you're still giving up quite a few yards to do so. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the new kickoff, by the way. It feels like not
No, I'm fine with it. I like
don't
that
know.
it's a play again. I like that there's
fine.
more strategy in it. And if it is, in fact, making it safer than the earlier kickoff thing, then fine.
I don't think it is, by the way.
Well, I don't know.
Because
I don't know the answer to that. I'm just
how many
saying,
touchbacks did we used to have where it was like, it's safer to not play? Like, that's what's safer.
Sure. But at the same
rate,
time, like, we're playing a game here. We want to at least see another football play where something can happen.
I guess what I would say is it's the first year of this to where Butker, but every kicker has had to prepare and adjust their styles and figure out, okay, how are we attacking this as a special teams unit? And clearly he didn't come through last night in the way that they needed to. It's just a very unique thing because we're not used to how often before this year are we talking about the kicker and they kicked off wrong and they failed to execute kicking off the football. But like, that's where we're at. That's the rule set. And he didn't, it definitely put him in a bind.
Steve texting in death, taxes, and a Butker miscue. Like that seems to be the case this year.
Because he has missed a bunch of kicks.
Right.
Didn't miss one last night through the uprights, but has this season.
Yeah. So if you're going to count on that once a game, then I do have some questions about whether or not the Chiefs can hold up and do the little things right. Like we've been wondering now for 5 games, which has been the main thing. Like small details are starting to elude this team.
I thought it'd be the opposite. That's why I'm concerned. So because I thought the narrative coming in was going to be, ooh, we got popped in the Super Bowl. That was embarrassing. Our dream of a three-peat, can we be honest? Can we be honest for a minute? We kind of played like we thought we were just going to have it handed to us. And then we found out otherwise.
Possibly.
And you know what I mean? And then you go through an off season where what's the response to that? Is it, we're so tired. You know what? We've done it before. And so we'll be kind of fine. Or is it, no, we'll not only say that we're going to harp on the details and be detail oriented, but you will see that in our play. We haven't seen it in their play through 5 games. And I thought it would be the other thing. And that's why I have concerns, not concerns that they're going to have a losing record or necessarily even miss the playoffs, because I think the Chargers aren't quite good enough to outpace the Chiefs. When they play the rematch of Chargers Chiefs, the Chiefs will win that. And then we'll kind of see what happens with other tiebreaker scenarios. I forget what it is after that. If it's full divisional record, we'll see what
divisional record. I think they go common opponents after that, then conference. I don't know, but
the Chiefs are going to have probably a better divisional record than the Chargers this year, if I had to guess, because they're going to win the rematch.
Chargers
and then
are
I don't
already
know
3-0.
Chargers are,
yeah,
but they got to play everybody again. They'll trip up. The Broncos will get them, and I don't think the Broncos will get to 11 wins. So
okay. Yeah, that's the interesting part of it. I'm not sure how it might shake out, but the Chiefs themselves, look, they will hit a better part of the schedule. That being said, I don't count them out against the Lions this weekend. I do think they can find a way to win that game if they play the way they did in Jacksonville, even. And
better detail-oriented, fewer mistakes are going to be necessary.
Sure, but if there was any week that it pops up and it becomes an issue that needs to be squashed by this coaching staff, this would be the week, wouldn't it? That's what I'm coming at it from, is that, look, I'm seeing an offense that is much more rejuvenated. I'm seeing everyone benefiting from there being a more fullness to the roster, getting a little bit healthier. Like, even in the run game, Mahomes was the leading rusher again last night, but I mean, he was effective running the ball. But before you poo-poo that, guess what? Trevor Lawrence was the leading rusher for Jacksonville last night, and they have Travis Etienne. So it's not a bad thing necessarily that your quarterback is the leading rusher all the time. But even then, like, if you give Isaiah Pacheco more than 7 carries, maybe he is your leading rusher. He averaged 5 yards carry last night, Brendan. Once again, 7 carries for 36. Maybe give him more than 10, and he'll be your leading rusher. Just saying. I don't know.
Yeah, he actually looked good last night. That's the first time all year that I would say he looked good. Brashard Smith looked good. He was barely on the field, but I thought it was notable that every time he was on the field, they tried to put the football in his hands, and he was pretty productive with it. So I am to the point where, and look, I can't even poo-poo Kareem Hunt on the goal line because he came through with 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt will be my goal line back. I would bring him in short yardage where we're going to run because I think he's your best power runner, and I would give the rest of Kareem Hunt's snaps to Brashard Smith. I would play all 3, but I would start to even that gap up. You can still have Pacheco be the lead dog. I think that in the rest of the game, Brashard Smith brings an explosive element to the offense that you're looking for a little bit. And the fact that he's been able to showcase that already with such a limited sample of opportunity, I think shows us something. And I'm okay with Kareem Hunt, like I said, on the goal line because it's working. But otherwise, I don't know that he's really the answer to be getting as many snaps as he is. But that's like kind of nitpicky stuff. That's my fantasy football brain talking more than anything. Like the Chiefs' run game, I would say overall was pretty effective last night. I don't really have anything other than the terrible decision by Mahomes that turned into a pick six to complain about when it comes to the offense. You're right. The offense played pretty well. And I guess the other thing that would be kind of nitpicky, I'm used to seeing the Chiefs have a little bit of a better game plan when they've got, 18 seconds on the clock or whatever it is, and they need to try to rush into field goal range. That first play
we're
call
so spoiled. It
took a lot of time off. I'm not saying, Andy, you got to let me talk, though, because I said it's nitpicky. I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But also, like, we've seen them do this, and the defense kind of gave them the look to where you could have sat down and you had timeouts to use. That was my one thing where I'm like, I thought they could have had a little bit of a better first play on that mini drive, because once you didn't get the first one, then it's like you're out of luck. They went short to Kelsey, and Mahomes can't throw it that far, so it's done. But that's my only other.
On the second play, Mahomes did try that, and Hollywood Brown wasn't ready for it. He didn't have his head turned around because he isn't. He wasn't here for the 13-second play. I can say he's not ready for all of that. He didn't do like the wink to Mahomes, be like, "Hey, I'm doing this."
In fairness, on that play, he said, "Do it, Kels," and we didn't get to do it Hollywood last night. I don't guess because Hollywood did not do it. But you're right, like that. If he catches that, you probably still have a chance to be able to get into field goal range creatively. But, that's like I said, I'm acknowledging it's a minor nitpick. But look, the Chiefs lost a football game they weren't supposed to lose. I'm allowed to talk about the things that they didn't do well. I'm not telling you the season's over, but I'm also not going to gloss over like everything's great because, everything's kind of mediocre right now. And I still want to see them find that extra gear of, yes, we understand that details are costing us right now. And we'd be 4-1 with better detail-oriented play instead of 2-3.
Sure. Record-wise, you're in the mediocre category, and you got to find a way to change that because that is ultimately all that matters. The way I watch them play, I don't know if I would even drop them from my top 5 this week if we were doing that.
Oh, please.
I probably would not.
Okay, what I have to go back and see if I can find.
I think they're a better team than the Packers. Still,
find the document. The Jaguars have got to be getting credit for winning this football game. That's the one team I'm going to say has to come in, and so the Chiefs are granted for me, the Rams were in, but they were out as of Thursday.
Yeah.
So that was they lost to the Niners. I switched that right away. I had no issue with that, but I would say that the Jaguars have got to be above the Chiefs for now. Do I expect it to stay that way all year? Not really. No, but that credit where it's due. Trevor Lawrence, as much as Chris Jones let it happen, that was a heck of an athletic play to, it's not like he tripped. His lineman stepped on him and that's how he went down and had to recover from that under duress and pressure of the whole game being on the line. And the dude did that thing. I thought that was very impressive.
It was all too familiar, though, for Chiefs fans. I mean, that looked like Andrew Luck in 2013 in the playoff game where he fumbles it and goes in for the touchdown. You could go to the Marcus Mariota, pass to himself. He scores in another playoff game. Now, those were playoff games. End of the season, those probably are less wanting to remember, but it looked very similar. Chiefs have had a few too many of those in the last decade plus of quarterbacks having very precarious situations to dig themselves out of, and then they end up being the ones scoring all of a sudden. So that was not fun to think about. But Chiefs fans, how do you feel today after a 2-3 start? They started the game well. It looked like they could have it in hand, maybe close it out with the late touchdown, but could not hold Trevor Lawrence out of the end zone for that final drive. Call or text us with what you think at 875-KTGR. Xavier Worthy played despite the ankle injury that popped up this week for him. How does the injury expert Will Carroll, though, see him being used going forward for the Chiefs? We'll ask him, and he joins us next on The Big Show, KTGR.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Step into comfort with this new property from Atterbury Auction and Realty Company in South Columbia. This property features a 4,000 square foot home on 11.5 acres with plenty of room to spread out. With 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, a walkout basement, sun porch, storm shelter, John Deere room, and more, plus a private pond with wide open spaces, bringing you a peaceful getaway just minutes from town. For open house dates, bidding info, and more, visit
Atterbury Sales. AtterburySales.com.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all month long, Lee's Tire Company will be raising money for Brakes for Breasts. This is your chance to help too. When you get a qualifying brake job done at any Lee's location this month, you can choose to get or give up to $40 mail-in rebate. For every $40 donated, Lee's will match your gift all month long.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Behold the Colonel's Giant KFC Chicken Sandwich, a towering, extra crispy monument to flavor. Such a huge amount of juicy, hand-breaded KFC chicken at a pretty tiny $3.99 price. For the Colonel's KFC Chicken Sandwich. I mean, $3.99 isn't even worthy of the same epic soundtrack as the KFC Chicken Sandwich for only $3.99. The Colonel lived so we could chicken.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Some people are willing to drive hours for their favorite whatever it is. Favorite glazed donuts from a local bakery, or favorite slice from their hometown pizza place. At Boone Hospital Wound Healing Center, people drive from hours away because they know they're going to get a specialized treatment plan created just for them to get them back on their feet. Visit boone.health to learn more.
Real healing starts here. Boone Hospital, Boone Healing Center.
Shangri-La is proud to be a part of every black and gold home game this season at the Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. Swing by our tent to play games, win prizes, and hang out with Missouri's top team of cannabis aficionados. Want to join the fun? Pick up your free Tiger Tailgate tickets at any Shangri-La location. Then come find us on game day. We'll be bringing the energy, the prizes, and the community spirit that makes Tiger football unforgettable. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here as we get deeper and deeper into the NFL season. More injuries to talk about, but when in the case of the Chiefs, the one guy, Xavier Worthy, that has been mainly circled as far as injuries, well, another thing has popped up for him. He was still able to play through it, but we'll see how the Chiefs manage it. As the injury expert Will Carroll joins us now. You can find his newsletter at undertheknife.substack.com. So, Will, Xavier Worthy pops up with an ankle issue. They list him questionable. He still plays. Obviously, he's still dealing with the shoulder. It may be lower production, but we don't necessarily know that it was because of the injury. How did you kind of assess that situation as it popped up late this week, Will?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I hadn't noticed the ankle issue before the game. They had said it. That's why they had dropped the questionable on him before the game. So I was looking and trying to figure out why they were running the routes they were running. Because we know that he can't reach up. So you can't run the entire route tree. You have to, if Mahomes is going to have him as the normal target, he's got to know that he can't throw it up. I mean, he's not one of those guys where you throw it up, he goes up to catch it. That's not who he is. He's the speed guy, but he also can't dive. So he can't go out there and just chuck one up the way he did with Thornton. He's become that guy now. So it's one more thing that has to go on in Patrick Mahomes' head. So for me, it was more of I was watching for that. After, I think it was at halftime, they said something about the ankle. And I was like, oh, wait. So I looked it up. Oh, ankle sprain. So he just wasn't cutting. So he had two things he really couldn't do, which limits the play calling. This is something the offensive coordinator, Nagy, should have adjusted for. And they do this a lot. There are a lot of times that a player just can't cut left. You've got to be able to show it. There was one play, it was actually that late throw to Thornton, where Worthy was the primary target. He had kind of an in and out move. He just couldn't make the out move. And so it was slow. He got covered. They ended up throwing it to Thornton, who was kind of jogging along, and Mahomes found him as he does. So it did affect him, but it's one of those things that you can game plan around. And in the space of a week, one would hope that it does. I still think the shoulder is going to be a problem for most of the season. So it's just going to take away some of the things he can do. But if he's not fast and can't make the cuts, that limits him even more, which is why he found more other targets.
Xavier Worthy, far from the only big name right now, Will, that in the NFL is dealing with injury. I want to ask you next about Brock Bowers, the tight end for the Raiders, who misses the game this past week. I know they've got the bye coming up. It seems like he's been dealing with that knee all year. And are they getting to a point where they might want to just shut him down for a little while and get him right?
They functionally have. He's got a small PCL sprain, but the bigger problem is that when his knee moves, basically he hyperextended it on a landing. And so it popped basically backwards. Think of your knee going the wrong way. It stretched that tendon, ligament, but also he didn't have part of his meniscus. They had removed it earlier. I don't know when that was, whether he was in high school or when he was in college at Georgia. Not an uncommon operation, but it created a bone bruise, and that's painful. So he's just not able to go through that. They're hoping they heal up concurrently, but we'll see whether or not that happens, how long that takes. It's one that can linger because, anytime you're putting weight on it, you're annoying that bruise, and you can't completely stay off it. You don't often see somebody with that minor an injury not do normal activities of daily living. You don't fully crutch them up. So it's difficult. It can linger. It's more painful than it sounds. I mean, bone bruise, we've all, bumped into something and now we have a bruise on our knee. It's annoying, not something that keeps us out for weeks. This is far different. So for Bowers, it's week by week.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app, and staying in the Chiefs division there from the Raiders and now to the Chargers, who have now lost two running backs for a significant amount of time. First, it was Najee Harris for the year, and now it's Omarion Hampton, who had really emerged as their starter in his rookie season. Now he's on injured reserve with the ankle injury. How do you see his situation now as the Chargers? Look, Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football, and they'll turn to other guys to do it, but what does that mean for Hampton now?
Yeah, you can only go so far down the depth chart before you really, really have a big drop off. Yeah, we've seen it from time to time. If you watch the Arizona Cardinals this week, aside from that crazy play on a long touchdown, they're 3, 4, 5 guys down the depth chart because of injuries they had to John Connor and I forget the backup. But it's the same sort of thing here. Hampton was really kind of establishing himself, and to have this kind of severe ankle injury, he does have some pretty sprained ligaments, nearly ruptured. They hope he doesn't need to have surgery. This is very similar to what John Alt, their right tackle, they had shifted to left while Slater's out. The interesting thing here, and I talked to somebody with the Chargers, and they're getting a little fired up about this. Alt had his injury because he got rolled up, and that'll happen. He got rolled up from the inside, which is unusual. But it happened because his cleat stuck in turf. SoFi, where Hampton injured himself, is also turf, and it was an odd little sticky cut that caused him problems. So we've heard complaints about turf for years and years. What's interesting here is both stadiums are going to be grass next summer. Why can't they be grass all the time is what both the players and ownership are starting to complain about. And I think this is just going to get louder and louder around the NFL. We're getting to a stage where the difference between turf and grass, it's not like turf is, you're never going to get injured, but it is significantly less. And we're seeing those kind of injuries pointed out more and more. The NFL knows eventually they've got to do something. They don't move fast, but they do move.
Will, you mentioned it briefly talking about the craziness of the Arizona Cardinals game, and it's kind of wild that maybe third on the list of crazy things that happened is Kyler Murray taking a snap right to the dome and I guess checking himself into the protocol there for it. What do you make of just the Cardinals mess and Kyler at the middle of it?
Yeah, I mean, Kyler's such an athlete that he can get away with things that other people can't. I mean, I've seen that kid all the way back to the time when he was in Allen, Texas, and was just running laps around people, basically. Also a heck of a baseball player. People don't forget he was a first-round talent. Between the foot and the head and, people not running out touchdowns, which has happened, 2 weeks in a row now. It's one of those things where you do have to just wonder, is this team cursed? It's not, but you keep exposing people to these kind of plays. I am worried about that bruised foot. I'm less worried about the concussion. I'm always worried about head injuries, but it didn't seem like something that's going to keep him out long term, if at all.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. It does seem that it'll be a long-term injury for Lions starting corner Terrion Arnold, who had been a guy that's a younger guy in their system that they spent a first-round pick on, and looks like with the shoulder injury, it seems to be probably close to the whole season for him that he's going to have to be out for it. That's the Chiefs' next opponent, the Lions, as they come to Kansas City. But what do you know about Arnold's situation, Will?
Well, he actually had an MRI this morning, and the Lions are saying they got better news. So they don't think he's going to have immediate surgery. So maybe he and Xavier Worthy can exchange notes. Because as far as I can tell, I mean, I'm obviously not looking at the MRIs, it's basically the same injury. It dislocated, subluxed, whichever. There's damage inside. He's probably going to have a harness. And at that point, you've got to think about multiple things then. With Worthy, if he can't catch, if he can't extend, that's problematic, but you can adjust for it. You've got to. If you can't extend as a cornerback, you're going to figure it out real quick. And worse, if you can't tackle, maybe there's some cornerbacks out there so good in coverage that they don't need to. Remember, Deion Sanders didn't do a whole lot of it. But you're certainly going to figure that out quick and target it even more. So with this, it's going to be a question of how quickly can he adjust to the harness? Can he play? Is he just going to put himself in worse position? How much worse could it be? A lot of the times, like with Worthy, he's going to have surgery at the end of the season, but it's not going to get much worse. There are certain scenarios where it could. So it's basically the exact same thing for Arnold.
Will, switching things over to college football, there's a big game in the SEC this weekend, the Red River rivalry, and Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, recovering from surgery on a broken bone in his throwing hand. Was a couple of weeks ago. Originally, it seemed like maybe the timeline they put out was having him as very skeptical to be able to play in this game this weekend. He's evidently pushing for a return for Saturday, according to ESPN. What do you make of the return and the potential that John Mateer could be out there for Oklahoma this weekend?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I always kind of root for Texas to get pushed down even more than they already are. That's always fun for me. But, from Mateer, here's the thing. Anytime you hear about surgery for a broken bone, remember the surgery does not make it heal faster. When you have to have either screws or pins put in there, that's done to fixate it and keep it in the right position. Either it moved out of position when the bone snapped, or, they just think it's going to move so much. It's really tough, especially with hands, thumbs especially. You'll see a lot of times that they'll go in there and just pin it in place because it moves. You can't totally splint it. and make it completely not move for very long. There's other consequences to it with the muscles and the tendons. So it comes down to healing, and it's the healing time. He's only had a couple weeks. Has it healed some? Yes. Enough? Probably not. Is he going to give it every chance to go? Can they take a quick x-ray and see, oh, well, it's 60% healed. What's the worst it can? Well, he could re-break it. That's the worst that could happen. So they're going to have to take that risk. They're going to have to see how functional he is. What I'm hearing is that he's gripping the ball, but he's not throwing well. They're going to give him every chance to play, and they're certainly going to make Texas think about him, even if he wastes just a little bit of time game planning for it. That could be at least a slight advantage.
All those SEC availability reports, they sure can be a tool, as we have noticed from these coaches here. The injury expert, Will Carroll, here on the Big Show, KTGR. On the baseball side, it seemed that Jackson Chourio may have been limited going into Game 2, but he sure didn't show that when he hit a towering 419-foot three-run homer to help propel the Brewers forward and take a 2-0 series lead. For a guy that young and dealing with a hamstring injury and playing as well as he has in such big moments, what's been impressive about his situation, Will?
Everything. I mean, he never fully healed from that hamstring. Again, this is something that a lot of people don't understand. Healed and, ready to play are two entirely different things. So that hamstring is still not fully healed. Anytime you tear a muscle, anytime you have a muscle strain, it heals up with scar tissue, and that scar tissue is only 75 to 80% as strong. It takes time for the muscle fibers to build themselves back, even in a young guy like that. So he's taking a risk being out there. I was a little surprised he played, but he convinced them. He felt it. He told them that is a great medical staff. So I think they just thought, hey, it's worth the risk. We've got another off day after this because we've got that giant travel down to Chicago. You don't even have to get on a plane. So it's one of those things where I think they thought the risk was worth it, and it certainly was. We're seeing the same thing with Will Smith in the other series in the NL. That guy's got two broken hands, can't catch a full game, but the difference in his offensive output to the other two catchers is just so big that he's going out there risking a recurrence every time he catches, every time he hits, but he also had a key, absolutely clutch hit in that game. The offensive difference between him and Rortvedt is just ginormous. And Dave Roberts kind of put him in the right spot. So two injured players making a big difference for their teams.
Will, what's new at Under the Knife?
Previewing the playoffs. It's a quiet time for me as I'm just watching games and hopefully not dealing with any injuries, getting ready for what's been a really, I don't know if it's been good, but it's been fun to watch. You see fired up Miz out there throwing 104. You see players you wouldn't expect to play doing things like that. It's been dramatic, if not great baseball.
Certainly has been. Go and check out Will Carroll's insights into all of it over at undertheknife.substack.com. And great to have him here on the Big Show, KTGR. Will, thanks for coming on as always. Hope you're well. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, all boys.
Big Show is on at 4:44 KTGR and the KTGR app. We will have the Chiefs Kingdom show and Tiger Talk tonight, so we won't have playoff baseball coverage to bring you, but we will have it tomorrow, so be sure to stay tuned for that. It could be one of two different games based on which series are still going. We could have several sweeps, who knows? But we'll see what happens later on tonight. All right, Under the Bus is coming up next. Of course, we touched on it, the quite lackluster effort from one Chris Jones, but also a different Jones that seems to pop up in this segment quite a bit. Also going to make another appearance next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Chiefs fall in Jacksonville yesterday by a score of 31-28. Touchdown by Kareem Hunt with less than 2 minutes to go put the Chiefs up by 4, but then Jaguars drove down the field and Trevor Lawrence punched in a 1-yard touchdown run despite falling down after being tripped up by one of his linemen to start the play, but he still scored and put the Jaguars ahead for good. Patrick Mahomes ran in for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown, had 318 yards passing, but also had a pick six that proved to be costly to the Chiefs as they fall to 2-3 on the season. First time since 2021 that they have started a season with that record. They return home for their next game. They host the 4-1 Detroit Lions for Sunday Night Football this weekend. Mizzou head football coach Eli Drinkwitz says offensive lineman Caden Green is questionable this week as he tries to return from injury for Mizzou. The starting left tackle missed the last couple of games due to that injury. Mizzou takes on Alabama at 11 a.m. Saturday. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast with API Project Fitness. Let them start living your healthiest life with the help of Michael Agnew and Joel Jackson.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking mostly clear skies by this evening. We're dropping down into the upper 40s, so it'll be chilly tomorrow as you head out the door. We'll have a beautiful Wednesday ahead with mostly sunny skies and high temperatures in the lower 70s. Cold again tomorrow night. We'll drop down to about 45. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Join the biggest party of football season at KTGR's Tiger Tailgate. Download the KTGR app and find a full list of locations where you can pick up your free Tiger Tailgate passes. Then come party with free food and drinks 2.5 hours before each Mizzou kickoff in front of Mizzou Arena. It's our Tiger Tailgate with Dive Bar, Bud Light, High Noon, Zing Zang, Lucky One Lemonade, and Mid-Mo Water Solutions. Find out where you can pick up your free passes on the KTGR app.
What a time to be a sports fan with football in full swing and the baseball playoffs underway. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action, and you can select your entries and win money right now in Missouri. Andy, what's got you excited in the sports calendar today?
Well, you said it, Brendan. So much to choose from, especially with when you need to wait until later this weekend for the football picks. You can dive right into the baseball postseason right now. And I'm looking into tonight's game in the ALDS Game 3. I actually think the Blue Jays have a good chance to close it out tonight and get a sweep against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And I think a big part of that will be Shane Bieber going out there and getting higher than 5.5 strikeouts tonight.
It really is that easy on Underdog. If you have a hot take on a big game coming up, you can do like Andy and select higher or lower on your favorite player's stats. And if you get your entries right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So download the app today, sign up with promo code KTGR to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
You've already met a few members of the Family Pond family. Now it's time to meet the newest one. Family Pond's South Columbia location is just off South Providence. And just like every family pond, it's got a personality all its own. Different jewelry, different tools, different gadgets and gear. That's the beauty of the family. No two stores are exactly alike. So after you stop by your favorite, swing by South Columbia. It's your newest Family Pond store to explore.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pond.
It's time to leave those regular malt beverages in the doghouse and adopt Lucky One Lemonade. Made with real vodka and real juice, Lucky One is a premium alcoholic beverage with no artificial flavors, no bubbles, and is only 100 calories. With 4 flavors, blueberry, peach, raspberry, and regular, and money from each pack sold goes to help rescue dogs find their forever home. Come taste Lucky One Lemonade at this year's Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. From backyard hangs to tailgate sips, Lucky One Lemonade is the upgrade that your cooler deserves.
From Branson Landing to the Capitol Dome, Union Station to the Tigers' home. Big old service is my Missouri is best. Our trusted team outpaces the rest. Show me safe coverage wherever you go. We've got you covered at Big
Your to-do list keeps growing. Stop and breathe, because Bax Homeworks has the ultimate team for getting things done in 2025. Big or small, they truly do it all. So simplify the workflow and leave all that to Bax. Bathroom remodels? Check. Building the best deck? Yep. Patching the drywall? Easy. What part of they do it all did you not understand? Schedule your free estimate today. Then sit back while Bax Homeworks does their thing. Find them on Facebook or at baxhomeworks.com. Bax Homeworks, getting your to-do list done.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Yeah, very clearly, Chris Jones. I mean, look, there were several players that made mistakes last night for the Chiefs in key moments. I don't think their effort was questioned on them, though. Here, effort was questioned, and that's a little different than maybe having a miscue or holding a guy for too long, tugging a jersey, having a PI call, something like that. There's a lot of that, but Chris Jones had a different type of thing to criticize, and it's the one thing that you never want to be criticized about. And so, look, it happened. Chris Jones deleted Twitter today, apparently, and I'm sure he just wants to try and lock in to make sure that we're not thinking in him in this light anymore. But for now, it just looks awful.
I mean, I'm sure I would delete Twitter too. I'm sure he got a lot of hate, caught a lot of flack for his lack of effort on that game-ending play, essentially. And, you know, I'm not for anybody issuing threats or anything like that, but for him to hear about his lack of effort, feels right, feels fair. I hope nobody said anything, you know, crossing any sort of line, but no, his effort was pathetic on that play. So if he deletes Twitter because he didn't want to hear it, that makes sense to me, but call a spade a spade. That was awful, and it contributed to costing the Chiefs the game.
Yeah, and so we'll see what he looks like next time out. But for now, yeah, very much needs to try and shake that narrative as soon as possible.
I don't have a $35 million contract. All I can do is say, hey, I'm a fan of the sport, and you didn't try. If at the end of the day he's cool with making his money and not contributing to his team, then, you know, that's within his right to do. But it's everybody else's right to go, dude, what's going on? That's terrible.
From one Jones to another, Jerry Jones fined $250,000 that I'm sure he's not even going to know it, that he was missing it.
He can afford it
at any point for flipping the bird to some fans that apparently, I guess, were Cowboys fans that were right in front of him in his suite. They were in East Rutherford on the road against the Jets.
It was Cowboys fans that he flipped off. I thought it would have been Jets fans.
Well, the way he explained it on radio today was, it was purely accidental, very unfortunate. I meant to give a thumbs up instead. The different fingers, man. I don't know. It's just very unfortunate. Okay, buddy. All right.
He pointed at him to say, "I'm doing it to you.
You're number one."
You're. Can I issue a prediction?
Yeah.
I heard it on the Sports Center that he's appealing the fine.
Yes.
He will win that appeal.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
I have extreme confidence that he will win that appeal. Not because I necessarily believe him. I'm not saying I don't. Like, his face doesn't show I'm flipping you off. It doesn't. He does look kind of happy. So maybe there was a miscommunication. But, like, how does the NFL fine itself? Like, Jerry Jones is the whole thing. He's like the head of the snake.
Yeah.
He wants the Rams to move to Los Angeles. They moved to Los Angeles. So, like, you can't fine yourself. This will go away. That's my prediction.
It's like you get less of you don't get your TV check this week or whatever it is. Like, that's essentially what it is for
They're
Jerry
not
Jones.
taking Jerry Jones's money. The NFL will not take Jerry Jones's money.
Well,
that's my prediction.
That's not a bad prediction. They have kowtowed to him for several other things. That's for sure. And this seems like a drop in the bucket. Like, come on, guys, we can We can figure this out here. So that Jackson Churio 3-run homer yesterday on a, 101.4 mile an hour pitch, and it went 419 feet. And it was a big part of how the Brewers took a 2-0 series lead over the Cubs last night in the NLDS. They're trying to finish the job tomorrow. And he did it on a bad hamstring too. Like, they didn't know if he was going to play the game, ends up starting and does that. Pretty young career, but still a very exciting career already for one Jackson Churio.
Well, and I'll give you another Brewer, Jacob Mizorowski. I felt like he was throwing 104.
Yeah.
He was pumped up coming off the field, had a one unassisted on a ball that came back to him. He was so hyped up that he ran it all the way to first base himself. The base runner wasn't really trying, but like he was really amped up after getting out of that inning. And I saw some people kind of comment and say, he's acting like he just won the World Series. There's this aura of like, act like you've been there before that flat out doesn't apply to Jacob Mizorowski.
He's never been there before.
He's never been there. He's never been there. Let a kid have fun. Let's not police the fun. You're in a freaking playoff game throwing 104, doing the damn thing. I love that he was as excited as he was for what wasn't the last out of. That's the emotion that we love that drives postseason baseball in this month. For anybody that would talk down on that, that's crazy to me. I love seeing it.
It was awesome. We'll see how much more we see of the Brewers for the rest of the postseason. I hope they go a long while. What was good, bad, and ugly from week 5 of the NFL season? We'll give ours at 5:05 and audio from Eli Drinkwitz, an update on Caden Green, 5:25. Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for ProfitShares.com. If you like things like gift cards or you like donating to charities, well, here's a way that you can do it without spending any money at all. Go to ProfitShares.com, put your football knowledge to the test, start winning a bunch there, and then you can earn some of those prizes. Every single week, they have contests that you can enter into, like the Profit Picks contest. You can predict how players are going to do each and every week. You can also go into the Margin Madness contests to predict the outcomes of these games. There are several other things, not just related to football, that you can predict as well. And if you go to ProfitShares.com, you can see the full list. And you're not playing for money. You're playing for what they call profit dollars. The more that you build up, the more you can then use to redeem for gift cards or charitable donations. So go and check it out. If you haven't signed up already, you can go to PROPHET shares.com. That's ProfitShares.com. Invite your friends, have some bragging rights when you get things right, and start playing now at ProfitShares.com.
Buckeye is fired up for Tiger football as Mizzou takes on Alabama October 11th. Gear up with unbeatable deals on everything you need for tailgating, fall essentials, and all things farm, ranch, auto, home, and pet. Join the Buckeye Buyers Club for even more savings. And keep the winning spirit going all season long. Buckeye, your farm, ranch, auto, home, pet, and outdoor living destination. Join us 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Friday, October 10th at Buckeye 3910 South Providence Road, Columbia. Go Tigers!
There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to football weekends, and that's what makes Yuenglings such a great pick. From traditional lager to light lager, flight, golden pilsner, and black and tan, they brew a beer for everyone's taste. Whether you're manning the grill, setting up the tailgate, or just watching with friends, Yuenglings got a flavor that fits the moment. Brewed with nearly 200 years of tradition by the oldest brewery in America, Yuengling. Legends stand the test of time. D.G. Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton, Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. The NHL season opening up tonight. Puck drop and the Panthers raising another banner. Florida beginning their quest for a three-peat, taking on the Blackhawks tonight, up 2-1 at the end of one. Blackhawks open the scoring. Panthers scoring 2 straight to take the lead. Frank Nazar with the first goal of the NHL season. AJ Greer nodding the score. Carter Verhaeghe giving the Panthers the lead on the power play. Florida outshooting Chicago 17-3 in the opening period. Also hit a post with 30 seconds to go in the frame the game on ESPN TV. Another trade in the NFL, the Chargers and Ravens making a deal. LA acquiring Ravens edge rusher Odafe Oweh for safety Alohi Gilman in a swap of 5th and 7th round picks. Ravens secondary dealing with injuries has really struggled. Oweh, former first-round pick, had 10 sacks last season, was entering the final year of his current contract. Elsewhere, the Bengals trading for Joe Flacco. Browns and Bengals swapping 2026 5th and 6th rounders for the former Super Bowl MVP.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you just how many non-Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in the NFC I trust right now over Baker Mayfield. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Faro, 15 to the 10, to the house. Bush, back to the wall, and it's Goddard. And Arrowhead. Touchdown! Kansas City! To your speakers. This is the big show, baby. Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is the Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Well, what was good and bad and ugly from this past weekend of NFL football? Now that the Chiefs and Jaguars game is in the books, I mean, there was some good from the Chiefs last night. There was also some bad and some ugly. Go a lot of different ways, I think, from last night's game. But what else from the NFL weekend would you call good, bad, and ugly? Tell us with a call or a text at 875-KTGR. Also comment on our YouTube channel, where we are live right now at KTGR Sports. And at 5:25, what Eli Drinkwitz said about the Alabama Crimson Tide as they prepare to meet up with them in Columbia at 11 a.m. Saturday, and an update on Caden Green, his injury status as he tries to work back for the Tigers at left tackle. 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Well, the story from last night, unfortunately, isn't the positive one for the Chiefs, as they blew a 14-0 lead, ended up falling to the Jaguars in Jacksonville 31-28 on Monday Night Football. Trevor Lawrence with the go-ahead touchdown in the final minute after he fell down, tripped over his offensive lineman, got up before a Chief could touch him, and snaked his way into the end zone for a rushing score to put the Jaguars ahead, and that's where they stayed. They moved to 4-1. The Chiefs moved to 2-3. Look, Chiefs played pretty well in most facets of the game. Offense looked good outside of one very costly turnover. Patrick Mahomes throwing a pick six that was taken 99 yards. The effort is starting to be something I'm a little bit worried about when it comes to Chris Jones on that final play. Didn't really make an effort to bring down Trevor Lawrence. All in all, it's not like super panic button time. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but they definitely have to kind of lock it in on some of the details moving forward.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
As we get into game week for Mizzou versus Alabama, the status of Caden Green obviously called into question. We'll get into more at 5:25 on what Eli Drinkwitz had to say about the status of his left tackle, who has been dealing with injury and hopefully is going to be back in time for this game. But he also referenced the fact that we'll have to look at the availability report and maybe Pete Thamel's tweets. That's kind of on the nose.
Number 3.
By the way, with that game, I think there is one key facet of the game that Mizzou cannot fall behind in. They cannot lose the turnover battle. But Alabama leads the nation in turnover margin. They're a +9 on the season. It really is, in my opinion, the one thing that if Mizzou can't get it done, at least draw even on turnovers, I think that's just not an option in order to win this game. I'm worried if they don't win the turnover battle.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
A $250,000 fine for Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. He apparently showed one of his fingers to a fan at the game between the Cowboys and Jets. It wasn't the ring finger, the index, the pinky, or the thumb either. Jones is appealing the fine, which is a fascinating concept to me because he's like the head of the snake of the NFL owners. I just can't imagine the NFL ultimately upholding a fine against like itself. Jerry Jones is as powerful as anybody in this league. I'm predicting that fine will go away regardless of their explanation for why.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
Brewers go up 2-0 in their divisional round series against the Cubs. Jacob Mizorowski was a big reason why. He was hitting 104 last night. He was excited coming off of the mound. And look, he should be. He's never been here before.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR. You love that for him. Think about his last couple of years, how quickly he has risen up. I mean, the Brewers were just bringing him up from AAA to just say, hey, let's give the young guy a chance. Season's going iffy at this point. And that was before they really started to skyrocket and eventually won the division in the NL Central and the 1 seed. And sure enough, he was a big part of it. And look where he is now. It's like I would do, even if he was a grizzled veteran, I would say it's the postseason. You can be excited. You might not have a tomorrow. You can be excited if you make a big play for your team to make sure they have a tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the fact that he is a rookie definitely bakes in for me. But I would not, I don't know. I would like to think that I wouldn't fault a guy of whatever stature. It was weird to have a 1 unassisted, but it was just I think the momentum of the moment carried him all the way to first base, and he was perfectly fine to not have to throw it or flip the ball and just take it himself. And just being hyped up in a moment like that you've never been in before certainly was cool to see. And he was throwing 104, so clearly the energy that was guiding him in that outing was working. I just like the youth infusion that, it seems like every year we've got some breakout stars that we see in the postseason. Trey Savage for the Toronto Blue Jays is absolutely an example of that. He's only got 14 innings in his big league career coming into the postseason and had 11 strikeouts the other day for Toronto. And he also kind of did the Quinn Matthews, where started out at low A this year, went to high A, double A, triple A, and then is now pitching in the postseason. Matthews, obviously last year for the Cardinals, went from A ball to triple A, but stopped there. It's just amazing to see what some of these young guys are doing and making a huge mark on October.
And we see that several times throughout postseason play, years back. I can remember for the Royals. Remember, it was Brandon Finnegan, right? That pitched in that year's College World Series, or was it maybe the year before? And then he's pitching meaningful relief innings for the Royals in one of their postseason runs. I can't remember if it was 14 or 15.
He was a rookie in 14 with just a little bit of play in the end of the season that year. Yeah.
But right away, he is in the right place at the right time. He's playing his best baseball, and then all of a sudden, hey, we need some firepower, and he sure enough provides it. And so that's what I love about moments in the postseason that we get to witness. Maybe the unsung heroes, because they really can come from anyone. It's no one player that wins you a title in the sport of baseball. It's just the collective effort. And so for me, I always look forward to those stories. And again, you'll get to hear more of those throughout the rest of the week here on KTGR as we bring you more postseason baseball coverage with the LDS in full swing. And we'll see what happens with the rest of it. Let's turn back to football, though, as we now welcome in the music. Sorry for the YouTube audience who can't hear it, but it's here. I promise you.
It's here for sure.
This is one of the reasons why you should listen on radio or on the KTGR app. You can get the full effect. But YouTube's great too. Glad you're with us. Good, bad, and ugly. Week 5 of the NFL season. 875-KTGR. If you want to chime in on what you thought was good and bad and ugly from the weekend. It is hard to put, for me, the Kansas City Chiefs in just one of these categories.
Were they all three?
Very difficult. It might be 3 feet in every category in this one. Look, how can you say anything bad about 476 yards of offense? 5 of 9 on third down, 7.5 yards per play, winning the turnover battle, 4 touchdowns in total, winning the time of possession battle. The penalties is what's bad. That's the main thing. It wasn't just special teams. There were also some key defensive penalties that came back to bite them. Look, the Trevor Lawrence play does not happen if Shamari Connor turns around, deflects the ball, and Brian Cook makes the pick in the end zone. Then we're not talking about Trevor Lawrence stumbling, bumbling into the end zone and Chris Jones not putting in any effort. Change that one play, Chiefs win. no questions asked. But it's just that 13 is way too many. It almost was enough for them to overcome, but just one too many. If they had 12, they would have been fine, but it was just not going to do the job.
Yeah, I would say the good is the offense. Like, the offense goes in the good outside of one play by Mahomes. That was a mistake. That was a bad mistake, but the offense overall, good. Bad, I would say the Butker trend. It's a bad trend for Harrison Butker. Didn't miss a field goal or an extra point, but has done plenty of that this year. And the kickoffs were the thing we're talking about today, kicking a ball out of bounds. Ugly is the Chris Jones situation, because it's a very bad optic to have. What could he have made that tackle? Doesn't matter. That does not matter. That is not what he's out there to do. He
decided that he couldn't by not even trying. So
it was extremely ugly. So like I think the Chiefs, various parts of their game fall into all the categories. Their record is bad relative to what we're used to seeing from them, but it's also not disqualifying by any means at this point. Again, though, I do think you beat the Lions, you're 3-3. We said yesterday before this game happened, Andy, like 3-3, you take that for sure. Of the Rashee Rice suspension, with the way that things have gone, everything considered, you'd be down with that. Now they have to beat the Lions to do it. Them big favorite is very interesting to me on that. The Lions defense, I do feel, is gettable. This will be very interesting to see how the Chiefs defense combats what the Lions can do, their versatility offensively.
And they got a little bit healthier. Mike Dana was back. I don't recall what the status was ultimately from Christian Fulton. I will say this. Noel Williams did not get a whole lot of run last night. This is a rookie at the corner spot. The Chiefs used a mid-round pick on, who has really been impressive as a depth piece, and they largely went with their main starters. Like Connor was in there. I mean, obviously McDuffie and Watson, that's a great tandem. But when you talk about the guys around it, like when they need a blow every so often, with the way that Lawrence was throwing and how you were kind of letting up a lot of those plays, especially down the field, that allowed the Jaguars to stay in it. Look, credit to them. They made some big plays, but I thought there could have been a little bit more churning of the wheels or the rotations defensively than maybe we have seen in games past. That's my one, maybe it's a minor nitpicky criticism of it, but yeah, I thought that was noteworthy.
Especially not knowing, like, was there an injury? Was there something behind the scenes happening that maybe comes out, or, was it just the way that they decided to approach that game? Given it was, a close game, the Jaguars coming back, you want your top defensive guys out there that you trust. That could be interesting to follow up with and see if anything comes of that this week.
So call or text us with your good and bad and ugly from NFL Week 5, 875-KTGR. Let's go to David H. on the KTGR hotline. David, how are you?
I'm doing well. First, I just wanted to see if you had any message for me.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy fishing, but
yes. Hey, now I don't have to text them. That's great.
That's good.
That's good. That's
taken
good.
care of. What you got?
How about the best the Houston Texans have looked in a long, long time? I know it was against like nobody, but that is the bad as well. But also it's like, even if your team is banged up, you still have a semblance of a team, right? You still have Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I think the bad was Derrick Henry getting 33 yards against, I guess a decent Texans defense, but like it just looked listless out there.
Here's the thing. I don't have a term for, this is why we say this in baseball. Oh, it's just the Memphis Redbirds out there when it comes to like when you have a lot of guys banged up and essentially bringing up all the guys from AAA. I don't know what the term is for the NFL because they don't have minor leagues there.
It's like the practice
I believe that's called the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's kind of applicable to the Bengals because they did just trade for
it's
a
going
Browns
the other
quarterback.
way. Yeah, that's very true. What was it? Yeah, so I think that's probably more bad on the Ravens side than good for the Texans.
If
Appreciate
true,
the call, David, here on the Big
hey,
Show.
Can we revisit the Chiefs win over the Ravens, though, if that's how we feel?
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I understand that. The company, though, that the Ravens are in is very troubling because, I mean, you think going back, the Texans, they scored 26 against the Titans the week before. Right. And I believe that was the largest output they had to date after that. Yeah, 9 points, 19 points, and 10 points after that. So 26 and 44. That's the type of company that the Ravens are in now. It's not good company.
I think we learned about the Ravens more after the Texans game because with the Chiefs beating them, we're like, oh, the Chiefs are fixed. That's what that means. And then we see the Texans do it, and we're like, oh, wait, it's just maybe it was all about the Ravens. No matter who they're playing, it's about the Ravens, and it's not good.
Well, and also the Ravens did not have Lamar Jackson, and so like the other side of the ball cannot essentially help out the defense to the point where they're moving the ball
right
and giving them the requisite amount of rest they need. And so you can't get that complementary football aspect of it. The Ravens did nothing well. Some of it's their fault. Another good portion of it isn't because they're so banged up. Their best players hurt and half the defense is gone. And they even traded away a guy on the defense there. Like, what are we doing? No, you need more defensive players.
Yeah, they got a defensive player back. It was a football trade. You don't often see that. We talk about like a hockey trade or a baseball trade.
Right.
This is a football trade. They got a defensive player for the secondary, I believe. So we'll see if that ends up helping them at all.
Yeah.
I got two goods, both quarterbacks leading their teams to wins by field goals on the road as underdogs. Give me Drake May and give me Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, Baker Mayfield we knew about already, and we gotta stop any moment we're inclined to not put respect on Baker Mayfield's name. We should stop ourselves and make sure we do, because he just keeps doing it. Like, I didn't know about them being an underdog on the road. That was I had the Bucs in that one plus 3.5, and they ended up winning it outright. And Darnold played well too, but Baker Mayfield is just inevitable. But Drake May was really impressive in how he led the Patriots on Sunday night over the Bills. So those two in the good very firmly for me this week.
I will say this, you were saying more on the Ravens being bad, and should we question the Chiefs because they did well against the Ravens? I mean, I will say the Chiefs, again, they lost the game, but the Jaguars defense is pretty darn good, and they average 7.5 yards to play against them.
They're solid defense. I just think I'm not saying I'm going to look down on the Chiefs for beating up the Ravens. I'm just saying I maybe gave them too much credit. I declared definitively they were back because of that result, and that was premature because I do think the Chiefs are going to be okay, more or less. But the Ravens are. I don't understand how the odds. We've talked about the playoff odds for the Ravens' expectations to make the playoffs. It's come down some, but they're still, I think, the favorite in the division, which is
mind-blowing.
Maybe more of a reflection of other teams not being very good, but that's crazy to me. The Ravens aren't making the playoffs if they don't turn things around, and I don't know where it's coming from unless it's just when Lamar comes back, he goes MVP mode on everybody. I don't know how else they're going to do it.
I mean, maybe they'll win 38-35 every game. Maybe that's their recipe now, which
take the over.
Could happen.
But they can't score 38 until Lamar's healthy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, once he's back, that's, but again, it's dependent upon when he gets back. So maybe that's the recipe going forward. Jared texting in, Jared in Centralia, the good Broncos win. How you like them apples, Andy? Yeah, man. Like, it's
Broncos in the good.
In this week. 100%. Absolutely. I still have some questions about them season long. Can they hold up with that setup? But good week. Go on the road and beat the Eagles. That's definitely good. The winless Jets. Yeah, it's more bad than ugly. Just gotta get through this year, establish the culture, and then
I don't know.
Sure you're reload.
Show me something, Aaron Glenn. It shouldn't take all year. You shouldn't, they were bad last year.
But it can. Like, it's not like you show things right away. Let's not
some
give such short leashes to these head coaches.
No, I don't agree.
Let somebody work out. Come on.
Liam Cohen, year one, took over a team that lost 13 games, and they're 4-1. Beat the Chiefs last
time.
A
former number 1 overall pick at quarterback. Like, it's
but he doesn't ever play like it.
It's a little easier to get him to that point, and the Jets basically had to start from scratch.
Do you want to hear something that you're gonna hate?
What?
Maybe you'll love it if you find a jurisdiction of legality.
Okay.
The AFC West odds after the Chiefs lost last night, because I was looking it up for the Ravens. I was like, are the Ravens still favored to win the AFC North? And they're not. Steelers are minus 105. Ravens are plus 115. Very close.
Right.
The Chiefs are no longer favored to win the AFC West. Guess the team that's at plus 175 as like the most likely team to win the AFC West.
I bet they say the Broncos now.
You would be right. Guess the other team that's at plus 175
Oh,
ahead
it's the
of
Chargers,
the Chiefs.
probably. Yeah.
Both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Are plus 175, and the Chiefs are plus 190. The Chiefs are third on the odds behind both the Broncos and Chargers.
Hammer Chiefs. I mean, now's the time.
I knew. I was going to say that's going to be your reaction.
Unless you think they're going to lose to the Lions this week, which they can.
Which I do.
Maybe you wait until then, and you get even more value from it. And
actually
keep on going.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. Now, you'll miss your window. If they beat the Lions, they will be, I'm fairly confident they'll be back to ahead of those other two teams.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. We'll see what happens with that. Call or text us at 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. The entire game I would just call ugly. Titans and Cardinals.
The Cardinals,
yeah,
it's the ugliest performance in NFL history, I think, to go from, like, if you paused time with Amari DiMercato 10 yards from the end zone when he started to slow down, they're going to lose this football game outright.
Yeah.
It's as bad as it gets, baby. That's as ugly as it gets. We could just name the segment the good, the bad, and the Arizona Cardinals moving forward, because that is pathetic.
Like, at some point, they got to get unstuck, right? Like, how does it happen?
But it's not like the Cardinals were terrible coming into that game, and they were doing well in the game itself until they weren't. They had dropped consecutive games to divisional opponents by 1 point and 3 points, respectively.
Yeah.
And they were, you're 2-3. They would have been 3-2 if they just covered that game. And we're talking about, hey, can they make the playoffs? Now I don't view them that way, but that, and it's crazy too, the kind of the narratives that form afterward. Jonathan Gannon is apologizing to Amari DiMercato for his reaction on the sideline. He kind of gave him a couple to the chest, a little bump. Guys wearing pads. He reacted very strongly. If you've seen the video. And Gannon said, I didn't even see the video, but I knew I reflected upon that, and I apologized to the player for how I behaved. Do I believe him that he didn't see the video that had kind of gone a little bit viral? I don't really believe him. He probably caught wind of it. But, like,
I don't. Can I say that I don't mind him apologizing for that?
I don't mind him apologizing. I didn't really hate the reaction. I said he should be cut. But what's interesting is, after you apologize to the player, I don't think you can cut him. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Because they still, like, kind of need him, right? Like, it's still
clearly
he's
not terrible.
Up. Yeah, he can still make you plays, just as long as he hangs on the ball when he doesn't have anybody around him. And then he's, we're singing his praises today because of his run that he made.
Yeah. No, like, from a juice, like, who's got the juice perspective in that backfield between Michael Carter, who had a good game as well.
Right.
But DiMercato didn't have much of a chance, and that was one of his only plays, and he was going to house it. And so he'll never make the mistake again. I feel pretty confident in that. And so you're like, well, why would I cut him if that's going to be the lesson? That's a hard lesson to learn, though, to learn it that way. That's tough, man. I don't know what the answer is, but we'll see how they respond as a team.
Yeah, I mean, it seems backwards from Gannon, but the reason I don't mind it is because how much hate has Amari DiMercato already caught from this?
Right.
Your job as the head coach is then to build him back up. Like, okay, buddy, like, you went through that. Now, how do you respond? Like, that's his job as the head coach, not to drag his players down, but to try and build them back up even through tough times.
And you could argue that his reaction as another teammate was doing exactly that. A teammate was consoling the player, and the coach comes in and rips him. They hadn't lost the game at that point. You know what I mean? Like, that sort of attitude, I think, arguably plays into the team falling apart at the seams. And so as the coach, was he in the right to be upset at the player? Absolutely. But then you look back on it and say, if he had reacted differently, does the team respond to that adversity differently? Or does the team see him losing his cool and go, oh man, he really thinks we're in trouble here. And then it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a very interesting angle on that. And like I said, how they respond from here will be interesting to see. That is just a brutal lesson to learn, and one of the biggest embarrassments in NFL history to have lost to that team, given the circumstances of right before that play happened.
So call or text us 875-KTGR here on the Big Show. You're good and bad and ugly from week 5 of the NFL season. You can keep texting us with what you got. And in the meantime, we'll talk some Mizzou next as Eli Drinkwitz updated on Caden Green today, his injury status as the Tigers prepare for Bama this weekend. That's next.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
From telling bedtime stories and doing late night homework to driving them to college and sliding them a few $100 when they get there, parents will do just about anything for their children. At Boone Hospital Wound Healing Center, people come from miles around knowing that their staff of doctors, nurses, and therapists will do anything to help heal their wounds. Wait, don't amputate. Visit boone.health to learn more.
Real healing starts here. Boone Hospital, Boone Healing Center.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
Everyone has their go-to game day outfit. Maybe it's a comfy black and gold hoodie or that old hat you wear because it still hasn't been to a losing game. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you really want to stand out on game day, talk to the team at Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia. Rock your favorite team's colors with a beautifully designed, one-of-a-kind custom piece of jewelry from Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia, our hometown jeweler. MIZBETZ.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
On game day, every needs and every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal and a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. Award-winning auto collision repair. Don't wait, we're great. We work with all insurance companies. We work with all insurance companies. Yes, we work with your insurance company. New Bloomfield, Missouri. FPPBodyShop.com. 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 Fletcher, Performance and Paint.
Welcome to Macadoodles. Macadoodles does game day like nobody else. Whether you're tailgating or hosting a watch party, Macadoodles has you covered. With more than 3,200 wine labels, 1,500 spirits, and 600 craft and imported beers, and delivery right to your tailgate or doorstep, the days of making a beer run are over. Macadoodles delivers, providing unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Drive through today or come inside and experience our world-class customer service. Who does game day like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
So tell us what you thought was good and bad and ugly from week 5 of the NFL season. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show as we get ready to talk some Mizzou here. Drinkwitz talking today, media day after the bye week. And, that's going to be a very interesting one against Alabama very soon. I will say this. Okay. We need to huddle up again. The huddle here. Let's huddle up here on YouTube.
We're huddling?
We're huddling.
Okay.
Huddling again.
I thought we were more of a no huddle kind of offense, but I'm down. Let's huddle.
Take a little bit of time to explain this one. So our Tiger tailgates are back. We have our Tiger tailgate this weekend, as always, before the game. We're huddled up.
I'm huddled.
Here's a adjustment this week.
Audible.
Bit of an audible. Not the same location. We are not going to be in front of Mizzou Arena this week on Saturday. SEC Nation's going to be there. So
got it.
That's where they're going to be, in front of Mizzou Arena. Our Zimmer Tiger tailgate is going to be right in front of the Mizzou softball stadium. So not very far, like just
not far at all.
Couple of 1-2 parking lots away.
You're walking up that hill, you turn left instead of going straight.
Exactly. So you go to the Mizzou softball stadium. We'll be right inside the gate there. That's where our Tiger tailgate is going to be this week. It's going to start at 8:30. Early breakfast tailgate, which I kind of like, 11 a.m. kicks, breakfast tailgate, like it. Dive Bar is going to have some delicious food. You can get Bud Light, High Noon, Zing Zang, Lucky One Lemonade, and Midmo Water Solutions as well for free. All you got to do is pick up a Tiger Tailgate Pass in any of our sponsor locations. You can find the full list at ktgr.com. And lots of places that you can go. You can go to Big O Tires, Shangri-La Dispensaries, Break Time just off of Stadium and 63 here. Plenty of other places to go. So go and check it out. Our Tiger Tailgate begins at 8:30 on Saturday at a different location, right in front of the Mizzou softball stadium, not far from where we usually are, but be aware of that change this week as the Tigers get set to take on Alabama. Get all the details on the free KTGR app. All right, so what is the injury update from Eli Drinkwitz on one? Caden Green. Here was Drinkwitz earlier today.
Caden Green will be listed as questionable this week. He did get some rehab reps yesterday. Really, the challenge will be to see where he is today and see how that progresses. Won't know for sure or for certain until the end of the week. So follow along closely to the SEC availability report and Pete Thamel tweets, and you'll know.
He's not even trying to hide it, man. He's not.
We're kind of pulling the peek behind the curtain for everybody, huh?
Yeah, we sure are.
Leaning into that, breaking the fourth wall. I like it.
Yeah. So encouraging news. Drinkwitz said right after the South Carolina game, when he shed more light on the injury, could be 3 weeks, could be 5 weeks. If he returns this weekend against Alabama, that would lean more toward the 3-week timetable for Caden Green, who had, again, if you don't remember, minor medical procedure that kind of popped up during practice week.
Surgery.
Yes. But not a highly big surgery that takes him out for a long time. No, he could be ready to go here very soon. We shall see as he progresses through practice this week, but we'll see what those availability reports look like. First one comes out tomorrow at 7 p.m. It probably said questionable, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to say questionable on it.
Yeah.
And then we'll wait for Pete Thamel to tweet and know whether or not he's playing. And hopefully it's expected to play or is going to give it a go. That can be like the Friday night tweet from Pete. Because I think you'd love to have him out there. I will say, Richardson filling in did a nice job. So I don't think you're panic mode if Caden Green doesn't play. We've seen now a game against an SEC opponent of not having him available. And so there's maybe a little bit less of that unknown factor, but I would say Alabama's defense is kind of scary. And so you want to be as deep and as strong as you possibly can be. So it'd be great to get him back.
Yeah, here was Eli Drinkwitz on what has been different about Alabama since they started the year with that loss to Florida State.
I think the biggest thing is to watch the jump from week 1 to weeks 2, 3, 4, and they're really not even the same team. The way they played versus Wisconsin and Georgia and Vandy in comparison to week 1, it looks like a totally different team. Obviously, I think getting the big man back in the middle, Keenan, I think he is a complete difference maker for them. And I think that was big for them on the defensive side of the ball. But you can they know who they are. And then I think the offense has been a little bit more complementary to what they're trying to do on the defense side of the ball too. So
that's maybe the part that I am Well, I can be worried on Mizzou's behalf on several things about what can happen here. It's Bama, of course.
Yes, Bama. We don't have to like pretend like it's,
But the main concern points, I think, are certainly with what Alabama's defense can present. They wreak a lot of havoc in the backfield. So you've got to be ready to protect Bo in passing downs and in situations like that. I don't have, again, like Alabama has given up some rush yards. I think Mizzou can run the football against this team. It will be, I think, a good translation of what they've done against inferior opponents through the first 5 games, but they can still be effective, I think, against this one if they stick with it. And so we'll see what that looks like. But passing downs, you got to be ready to protect Bo Prabula. If you've got Caden Green in there, sure, you got a better chance of doing that, but that's still going to be a major thing you look at.
Yeah, it's going to be big. And like getting Bo into situations that aren't as dangerous and lower pressure, because there's going to be pressure. There's going to be that havoc. I'd love to see a lot of 3rd and 3. You know what I mean? And that's going to probably involve running the ball successfully on early downs. And Ahmad Hardy being special, because he is special, and he's going to have to probably be special in this game, and Jamal Roberts as well, because that's the equalizer to me. Of all the things you noted, like, we've got a lot we could be worried about when it comes to Bama. There's no shame in that. It's not to take away from Mizzou in any regard. It's to credit Bama, as Drinkwitz did, and say, like, they're not the same team that lost to Florida State. You're not going to be able to do those same things and have them respond similarly as what the Seminoles did to them, because Bama's in a much better place at this point. So there's just a lot that they can do really well. Mizzou has things it can do really well too. And matching up the strength of what Mizzou does well to like a perceived weakness. I guess we've talked about it yesterday. I felt like Vanderbilt could have stuck with the run more. They had one big, kind of game-breaking run by their running back. A lot of the other run stuff was mostly Pavia. They wanted to keep the ball in his hands, understandably so. But then he makes poor decisions that end up costing them. I definitely want to see Mizzou lean on its running backs more than Vanderbilt did. But if then you get stuffed, which is not something we've really seen happen to Mizzou because their run game has been so good, seeing the way that Bo responds, if he does have to carry a little bit more of the load, will be really interesting. I'm a skeptic when it comes to like, yeah, you should be able to put the whole game on his shoulders and he can one-man band beat Alabama. I don't think that is going to be a recipe. So you are going to need everybody to execute their roles and win a tight one. That's the way to beat Bama. It's not because you blew them out. That's not going to be part of the equation. You've got to do the little things really, really well and hope that your run game can pace enough of that kind of time of possession battle and ball control game that you're in it in the end. This feels like, however you get to the fourth quarter and you're in that game, you'll take it. But I think not making mistakes, minimizing mistakes, and capitalizing on the things that you can do well is obviously the best way to get to that fourth quarter and have the game be in the balance.
And you have to protect the football.
Have to.
Yeah. As you mentioned,
it's not an option.
The turnover margin going to be very key in this one for Mizzou to win. Eli Drinkwitz talking about Bo Prabula, and as they looked back, is there any common thread on how those turnovers that he has given up in past games and how they have come about?
Yeah, there's some common threads. The biggest thread on the pick against UMass was he pushed up in the pocket. The ball got deflected by a D lineman, which caused it to sail right. We just got to be a little bit better. We use the term take the space you need, but only the space you need. I think sometimes quarterbacks can get a little bit too antsy to push up in the pocket. You got to be able to just have subtle pocket movements to find the space that you need to deliver some balls. And if you look at the common theme, whether it was the fumble versus Kansas or that interception, we're pushing too far in the pocket. So just got to clean that up a little bit. Really, really appreciate and pleased with Bo. He's one of the most coachable quarterbacks I've ever been around. He has the right mentality on trying to grow and trying to get better and utilizing all the different aspects that he can to improve. He's really hungry, to improve and understands that the best game is still out in front of him. And so I think, obviously Coach Moore, Coach Gleason have done a really good job of not trying to overload him. As a quarterback, this game is too complex and too complicated to be played without some errors. You just can't have compounding errors.
And I think the thing is, Bo Prabula has pretty well isolated those errors away from the rest of his play, I think, for the most part.
He'll make one, and then it doesn't compound.
No.
Like that. I can't think of a situation where he's made, and like the mistake can be a backbreaking one. The one against Kansas was certainly inconvenient, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
And yet I don't think he came back from that and was playing tight or trying to do more than what he needed to do in the following drives. I think he's done an excellent job of not allowing one mistake to turn into 2 to 3 to 4, which is what you have to do against Alabama, because they're +9 on the turnover margin for a reason. It tells me they take away the ball a lot, and they probably do a decent job of protecting it as well. Yeah, you're part of the equation in that. If you're Bo Prabula, is just, man, if you do make one mistake, don't make a second one. And to the point there, he hasn't so far this year. He's isolated it.
So call or text us with what you think about Mizzou's chances against Alabama as they get set to take on the Tide at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Call or text us with what you think. We'll get to some of your calls and texts on that when we return here on The Big Show. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we're live right now to weigh in on the Tigers as well after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou head coach Eli Drinkwitz said today that offensive lineman Caden Green will be questionable this week as he tries to work back with the Tigers onto the field before their game against Alabama on Saturday at 11 a.m. Green, starting left tackle for Mizzou, has missed the last couple of games due to an undisclosed injury. Went through what the team calls a minor medical procedure right before the South Carolina game. Javen Richardson has been starting in his spot at left tackle for the Tigers in the meantime. Chiefs fall in Jacksonville last night, 31-28. Trevor Lawrence with the 1-yard touchdown run to put the Jaguars ahead in the final half minute of the game. The Chiefs fall to 2-3 overall on the season, and now will try to get back to 500 as they host the 4-1 Detroit Lions at Arrowhead Stadium. That'll be the Sunday Night Football broadcast this weekend. Chiefs starting 2-3 for the first time since 2021. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with API Project Fitness. Start living your healthiest life at API Project Fitness with the help of former Mizzou players Michael Agnew and Jarrell Jackson. Sign up for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking mostly clear skies by this evening. We're dropping down into the upper 40s. It'll be chilly tomorrow as you head out the door. We'll have a beautiful Wednesday ahead with mostly sunny skies and high temperatures in the lower 70s. Cold again tomorrow night. We'll drop down to about 45. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Truman the Tiger. M-I-Z. Marching Mizzou. And of course,
To the house! To the house!
the traditions of Mizzou football live here. Join us Saturday. The Tigers take on the Crimson Tide at Faroe Field. Our coverage begins at 9 a.m. on your home for Mizzou football.
We are
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Time is running out for the best full and part-time jobs in Columbia. Miller's Professional Imaging, the largest photography lab organization in the United States, is hiring. If you are energetic and enthusiastic, Miller's Professional Imaging wants you. Miller's offers competitive salaries up to $23 per hour with monthly profit sharing and no experience necessary. Don't wait. Time is running out for the best job in Columbia. To apply, please fill out an application under the employment link at millerslab.com.
When the Tigers score, you score at your Columbia Hy-Vee. For every point Mizzou scores on Saturday, when you shop at Hy-Vee on Tuesdays, you can earn that many cents towards your Perks Fuel Saver when you make a purchase of that value or more. They score 40, you earn 40 cents for every $40 you spend. Get free gas just for shopping at Hy-Vee. If you don't have perks yet, just ask to sign up at customer service. When the Tigers score, you score on Touchdown Tuesdays. Only at Hy-Vee.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. One of my first and only auto claims for me personally came when we were on a long road trip, and I was maybe following a semi-truck a little too close, and we all know when those rocks pop up, crack your windshield. First thing I did the next day was call Phyllis. Phyllis handled the whole thing. She got us into, I think, one of the local vendors to replace our windshield, and within 24 hours, it was done, it was over, and made it a very seamless process.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak, a bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guide, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho-hum. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Free-for-all RV Road Warriors, your best blast of Branson just turned into a bad day bummer. You ran out of gas, blew a tire, killed your battery, or sitting sideways in a ditch, and managed to lock yourselves out. Ouch. Hey, it could happen. And for the save, you call I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for roadside assistance, too. Fuel, tires, batteries, locks, winching, you name it. When your world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I-70Towing.com. Now serving Boonville. Winching.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Tell us what you think about Mizzou and Alabama matching up on Saturday. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan. Get to some of your calls and texts here. As Victor texted in, if Mizzou is going to win, they're going to have to grind it out with Hardy and Roberts. Stating the obvious a little, but still true, time of possession is going to be critical. I mean, it could be, but
yeah, I actually think time of possession is almost a given because of the way that Alabama can score versus the way I expect Missouri to run its offense, very run heavy.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they can't get big plays in the run game. I feel like Alabama's either going to, they'll try to run the ball. Maybe they'll have success, Andy, but everything that I've seen so far from Mizzou's run defense tells me they're going to do a solid enough job of slowing up Jam Miller in that run game. And then Bama's going to be in, when they get into third downs, they're going to throw the ball down the field. They'll either succeed and go into the end zone, or they will fail and punt it away for Mizzou to accrue more time of possession. I don't think time of possession is an indicator that Mizzou will win, but I think it is pretty necessary unless we're going to see a big quick strike influx for Mizzou's offense that we haven't necessarily seen quite as much of this year.
Yeah, the time of possession, I'm not sure it's predictive on who wins the game.
Yeah,
but still is something that Mizzou, it's almost something that Mizzou still needs in order to win, if that is maybe something different, a different take to put upon it, because that then means that they are running the football as much as they would want to, and it is effective to the point where they can get into their offense and have all the options they need, and then again try to limit the amount of total Alabama possessions that occur throughout the game. And whatever Alabama does with them is a different thing entirely, but you want to limit the number of times they get to touch the football at the very least.
And part of that is if you are in a goal-to-go situation with 1:20 on the clock in the first half, I absolutely do not want you scoring on the first play. I will be consistent about that. People can disagree. Maybe at the 10 is a little bit different. Like, you've got to try to get there. If you're on the 3 and it's 1st and goal and there's 1:10 left in the half, I'll run that rock one time and get to the 1, and then I'll score on either 2nd down, 3rd down, or 4th down, because I think you may end up going for it. I get it. I'm not trying to kill Clark Lee over this, but I really do think it mattered, and because of the quick strike nature of Alabama, and specifically because of Mizzou, knowing that the secondary is kind of the weakness of the defense so far this year, I'd play keep away, especially if you get the ball to start the second half, where you're like, well,
I think that matters. Like,
yes,
well, but it can also dictate whether you decide, hey, maybe we can decide to score, or just no matter what the time is on the clock, because maybe getting the ball to start the second half allows you to have a little bit more freedom on trying to stop Alabama on their next drive. And look, timeouts also matter too. Like, maybe Alabama gets the ball with 1:20 and they go incomplete pass, and then they decide, okay, well, it's not looking all that great to start out. Maybe we run it and decide to, and then you can take your timeouts and you can get the ball back again.
I respectfully disagree.
Why? What do you mean?
Because I don't think you're going to be clamoring yourself to go drive and score in a minute on Alabama. I think this is where you do go conservative. If you go up and you're able to even, like, legitimately, and this is going to sound so counterintuitive, but a better scenario for Vanderbilt in that to end that first half would have been to kneel it out and kick a field goal.
Oh, no.
Objectively, they would have had more points to Bama's fewer.
But you can't. It's so easy to look at that in hindsight, man. It's so easy. You can't do that in the moment.
You can't give me that, though, because I was doing it in the moment. I tweeted about it in the moment as it happened. I was absolutely not doing it in hindsight. You recognize some of these tendencies of an opposing team, and I think it's even more applicable for Missouri, where the secondary has struggled, and you're going to be defending a 2-minute drill, a 1-minute drill. Could Vanderbilt have justified kneeling it out and kicking a field goal? Certainly not. But you could have taken one play and 40 seconds off the clock. That's all I'm saying. And I think it's one of those things that
take
sounds
points
crazy.
Against Bama at any point that you can get them. That's my message to Mizzou.
Here's another way to look at it. If it's 1:10, 1st and goal from the 3, would you rather end up in a situation where you are 3rd and goal with 10 seconds left? You've got one play basically to decide, okay, now we're going to either do a field goal on our 4th down, or we're going to go for it and maybe end up with nothing. And then you play it out that way and you end up with nothing. You tie for the remainder of the half. That's identical to scoring a touchdown, giving Alabama more than enough time to walk down and tie to end the half, because your 7 equals their 7. Your 0 would equal their 0. I would rather play keep away and not let Alabama touch the football and go into that knowing if there's 10 seconds left, 3rd and goal, the worst thing that can happen is I don't get it and we tie 0-0.
Okay, but you're talking about a different scenario here. That's not the scenario.
You can control it becoming that. No, you can create that scenario with 1:10, 1st down, and Alabama has to use a timeout. I don't know if they had any timeouts.
I just don't think that's an efficient use of your plays in that situation. It's just not an efficient use of your plays. Allowing
Bama to have a minute is malpractice. You can't do it. It was a bad play by Vanderbilt. It really was.
No, it wasn't. Score when you can score. Against Bama of all teams, absolutely.
No, it's specifically because it's against Bama that you have to think more strategically.
You cannot get cute in these situations. Teams get cute, and then Mizzou went to Auburn a few years ago, and they decided to kneel it out to try and win the game for a field goal, and it didn't work.
I hear you on that.
All that. So, like, you can never predict that it's going to go exactly the way that you are describing, Brendan. And so that's why
But it did.
when you are going in on 1st and goal from the 3 and you have a good play call and it works, you do not just lay down on the 1 and say, we're going to score on the next play. No.
You take 40 seconds.
No, you don't. Like, you just score, man. Put up points.
It didn't cost them any. It didn't gain them anything to have scored. And if you give them that much time, Alabama's going to score.
Do not put that on the offense, though. Put that on the defense for not doing their job.
No, it's Clark Lee's defense that didn't do the job. But as the
so
coach,
worry about the defense not doing their job instead of the offense managing the clock in a poor way, according to you. Like that's a defensive problem.
It's a team problem because it costs the team. It's not specific that the offense did something wrong. I think the coaching could have been more effective, because if you take 40 seconds from Alabama, I don't think they score a touchdown. I don't think they have time to do that. They might have time to kick a field goal, but then you gained 4 points. It was 7-3. If we talk about the middle 8 mattering so much, part of that middle 8 is the final minute of the first half where I control the football. And if I'm touching it last and I score any points without Alabama being able to do it, I've won that final segment, and I start the second half with the ball. I think Vanderbilt messed it up. I think it's a fascinating conversation. I'm not trying to talk down to your viewpoint. I just think don't do the same to mine, because I think it's very compelling. I think it's very interesting.
I can understand that. You can't argue
with the logic of, like, they didn't gain anything. It was 7-7 is ultimately what transpired.
I understand that, but be more worried about how your defense played in that scenario is what I'm saying.
Sure, but you can't change that. Like, Alabama's a great offense.
Like, yeah, you be better on defense with a minute to go. Like, don't let up all those big plays.
As a head coach, though, can you anticipate that I'm going to be asking my defense to run a 1-minute drill against an elite Alabama passing offense with 3 NFL wide receivers? I can anticipate that without dogging my defense and saying they stink.
Sure, I can anticipate that, but if there is any inkling of me costing myself points on offense by thinking about it and trying to manipulate that situation,
all in the aggregate.
I'm not even going to do that.
It's all in the aggregate, though. That's so interesting, because it's all in the aggregate. You didn't gain anything. 0-0 was the final 90 seconds of that half, except it was 7-7, but there's no difference in the two.
I get it.
It's one of my favorite things that's ever happened in football, because I don't think we'll ever agree, but I don't think I'll ever change my mind either.
It was a fascinating part of the game, and what was a fascinating game until Alabama pulled away in the fourth quarter.
That they did.
Now Mizzou gets its shot at Bama to see if they can get a signature win. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to the injury expert Will Carroll for coming on as well. Chiefs Kingdom show next, and then Tiger Talk at 7 o'clock. We'll see you at 4 tomorrow. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Always ahead of the curve? Seem to know what's going to happen? Like